So we are on week 3 of the All I Want for Christmas series. We've been looking at Isaiah 9 verse 6, where it says, "For unto us a child is born, a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father," which is what we're going to look at this week, "and Prince of Peace." You know, it's a real tension when you begin to talk about that this is a prophecy about who the Messiah will be. And it's saying he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, about the Son. So Jesus is the Son, but he's known as Everlasting Father. It kind of doesn't seem to marry up. But what the prophet Isaiah is talking about is not the roles that he will fulfill, but the character that he will carry. So it's saying that the Messiah will be an everlasting Father in the way that he carries himself, in his characteristics. And it also talks about, it could be called Father of Eternity. You see, in Jewish culture, when you were the father of something, it meant that you were the master of, or the inventor. So if I'd invented the iPhone, I would be known as the father of the iPhone. And because Jesus holds the keys to eternity, because it's through him that we have everlasting life, that's why in Jewish culture he will be known as Everlasting Father, Father of Eternity, because it is through him that we enter eternity. And on Sunday I talked about Jesus being father-like in 4 different ways. I talked about him being a provider. I talked about him being a protector. I talked about him being inviting us into participation in his mission. And the final thing was I talked about him preparing us. If you haven't watched the talk yet, I encourage you to go back, listen to it on podcast, or go and check it out on our YouTube channel. But I want to talk about a 5th thing that I couldn't fit in, largely because it didn't begin with P, but it is discipline. You know, this is not a popular topic. This is not something people enjoy. No one enjoys discipline. No one enjoys talking about discipline. And as you can imagine, as a child, I received lots and lots of discipline. I remember one time at church, I kicked another boy because I didn't want him to play football. I didn't like him. He was an Evertonian and I support Liverpool. Didn't want him to play with us, so I kicked him. He ran crying to his mum. His mum spoke to my mum. My mum came and took me away from playing football and took my shoes off me and told me that little boys that kick other little boys don't deserve to wear shoes. I was disciplined and I learnt my lesson through that. There was times as a child, and I'm sure if you're parents, you've probably heard this as well, when I kicked off because I didn't want to be disciplined, and I'd whinge, I'd stamp my way up the stairs and go, "This is not fair. I shouldn't be treated like this. I'm calling Childline," and I would threaten that all the time to my parents. I'm sure some teenagers have done that as well and continue to do that. But we don't enjoy discipline. But let me tell you this, a good parent and a good father disciplines their children because we want to lead them to learn. And it says this in Hebrews 12. "And have you completely forgotten," this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father, addresses his son. It says, "My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the ones he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children." And you see, there's this moment with Jesus and Peter. Peter was one of the disciples, and Peter denied Jesus 3 times before he was crucified. But when he's risen again, Jesus meets the disciples on a beach, and there's this awkward moment between Jesus and Peter. And Jesus brings about discipline in the most gracious, beautiful, loving, father-like way. He asks Peter, "Do you love me? Then step into the calling that I've got for you. Do you love me? Step into the calling that I have for you." Jesus leads Peter through discipline so that he can learn. You see, punishment is about retribution, but discipline is about rehabilitation. Discipline should be about being a father and helping people learn to move on from their mistakes, to learn from the mistakes that they've made. Jesus, as our Father, as our everlasting Father, as a father-like role in his character, disciplines us. He leads us to learn from our mistakes so that we can move forward into what he has for us. Everlasting Father and Jesus is complicated, but it's so rich. I've really enjoyed unpacking it in preparing for this talk and delivering it, and I hope you have as well. I look forward to hearing about Jesus being the Prince of Peace next week.